This was my first book. Let's dish up a dinner party. So this was Brad Pitt's suit. I cringed. He sort of let the mask fall for a moment. She wisely hired a specific publicist for crisis management.
Yeah, we've lost some talk.
Hi and welcome to Flossom Talk. I'm Tasty Floor, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. Welcome to my podcast. As you know, every Friday I have episodes that are a little different, and sometimes I have guests. And today I have one of your favorite guests of all time on Flossom Talk. I think this is his third or fourth time actually being here on my show. He's a multi-award winning journalist, an author, and a podcast host, and he's always spilling the tea. And please stay till the end to hear about his upcoming project. Nelson, welcome back. Is this your fourth time here on Flossom Talk?
Maybe. It's either 3 or 4. I don't know. But I would say the third time or the fourth time is a charm, just because it's always good to be with you again. And someday we're going to be sitting in the same hotel suite again together. I don't know when that will be, but
I'm sure we will. Yeah, who knows when it's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing. Anyways, I was so excited when you reached out again, and we were going to talk about all these interesting subjects because you sent me a video of this person talking about Chevy Chase. And if the same thing is going to happen to Ryan Reynolds.
We are actively watching Ryan Reynolds turn into this generation's Chevy Chase, and honestly, it's not that surprising when you look back at his career and compare it to Chevy Chase's, because they're basically just the same person, really. All of this fame and success got to a point to where Chevy Chase's ego became so big that he thought he was the funniest person in every single room he walked into, to where he would just be an asshole and play it off as a joke. You look at what's happening with Ryan Reynolds recently and the downfall of Chevy Chase, they are basically parallel. Active funny guy in Hollywood spends 20 years playing the exact same character in every single movie he's in, suddenly thinks that he is the peak of comedy in Hollywood and that he can say whatever he wants to anybody on set and pass it off as a joke and face no consequences. Really hate that I have to say these things, because there was a time that I really loved Ryan Reynolds. I'm pretty sure there was a time most of us loved Ryan Reynolds, but that facade has dropped. We can all see through the mask that he puts up as this funny, nice guy, and we can see who he really is.
What do you think is going to happen?
I had to send you that video. I don't know. It just sort of came across the algorithms, and friends like you, we tend to have the same algorithms, and that was of note to me, because this gentleman was likening the effects of Chevy Chase's career and his sort of reputation as a curmudgeon and a grumpy egomaniac was how this person perceived it. That was not my experience with Chevy Chase, but it was this fellow's impression of Chevy Chase. And he thought that Ryan Reynolds would go down the same professional rabbit hole. But I thought he made an excellent case for it. And it got me thinking about what goes into a career beyond your talent, beyond your strategy, and every star seems to have a strategy, but also good old-fashioned luck. Luck plays, I would say, 90% of what goes into career success, or the lack thereof, and also just your attitude and how you treat others. And this viral video was making the case that Chevy Chase's attitude factored in a lot, and making the case that he went into his final years of doing sitcoms, which probably was never his dream, when he was a big movie star, going from Saturday Night Live success to the big screen. But his attitude is what put him back into TV, essentially playing himself.
I feel like that generation of actors, it's a little bit different for them because it took people a long time to realize what they're really like. And I think today with social media, it's so much easier to figure out, or it's so much easier that it slips out there what a person is really like. Like now we've seen these little clips with Ryan Reynolds. Did you see him at the Toronto Film Festival with that boy reporter?
I cringed.
What's going on? I know. It's like I'd get halfway down there and be like, I'm a monster. For me, buddy.
Hi, Ryan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Let's skip to the question.
Why is there so much?
And, I get it. He was busy. He was trying to, just to have a child on the red carpet in itself is problematic. You're asking for trouble when you put a kid reporter on there. And I get it. It's cute. It's charming and all of that. But I understand from the celebrity's point of view and in defense of the publicist who's trying to accommodate as many requests as possible, it's probably a little irritating for Ryan. The problem is he let it slip. He sort of let the mask fall for a moment and show how irritated he was trying to accommodate the kid. But it's interesting. I was thinking about Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively went from being the golden couple to arguably now their reputation has become tarnished. People sort of feel like they're the emperor's new clothes kind of scenario. And it got me thinking about take another couple like John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, whom I've interviewed a zillion times. I'm sure you have as well. And they're sweethearts by comparison. You take a Blake and a Ryan, and then you take a John Krasinski and an Emily Blunt. They're a real life couple who seem to be enjoying the ride, have a great sense of humor, are making hit movies, don't get a lot of conflict. And John, interestingly, as we go into this whole Chevy Chase conversation, John Krasinski started on sitcoms. He was a sitcom actor who got very lucky with The Office, and he was so good and so charming, then went on to be a movie star and to be directing. Now he's an acclaimed artist. Not just the sitcom star who got lucky with a movie. And Emily, same way. She went from British television, I remember from the Henry VIII miniseries. And comparing them, I like to compare them to Ryan and Blake.
It's actually interesting because I never thought about that, but they have so many parallels here. And that John and Emily are making movies together now. They work on each other's projects, which is something that Blake and Ryan pride themselves to do a lot, even though they have nothing to do with the other person's project, really. They just interfere with each other's projects, I guess you could say. But that's so interesting. And I have the same experience. I don't remember if I met John Krasinski, but I have interviewed Emily a lot of times. So I do really feel like she's one of those people that are just real, But,
and even if she's not, even if she doesn't feel up to the task of being real, because we all have those days, at least she understands the assignment. For the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, she's got to give the interview. She gives it her best shot, her best, Anne Hathaway's not always that way. Did you see that? Did you see the video recently of her chastising? It was a paparazzi video, and she was filming Prada 2, and somebody was using profane language around the set, and she scolded them.
I don't know what you're doing. That's gotta relax.
It's not a real pet. Get a 7200.
Yo, you're talking. Stop
Everyone
talking.
know that there are children on set?
That's gotta relax.
So everyone's going to relax. We're going to have a very nice day because we have children.
Because there were children around, and they shouldn't be using adult language. And while I appreciated that she was protecting the innocent ears of children on the streets of New York City, believe me, the children on the streets of New York City
I've seen worse. Yeah.
But she was really trying to scold, to come off as this sort of maternal, caring person, and I don't know. It seemed disingenuous.
She's working hard on her image. She apologized to me. She invited me to come and interview her for her next movie.
Right.
I didn't hear anything yet.
Well,
so I think she forgot about it.
Her image is looking pretty good. Whoever her doctor is making her image look very good.
I saw that.
Beautiful.
Everyone keeps talking about her new face. And regarding Emily Blunt, I saw her new face too. Did you see that?
Beautiful.
You think it's beautiful? I think she filled it up with so much Botox and fillers. And I'm like, no, not you too. She had this beautiful face. And then they're just putting so much stuff in there right now that everyone looks the same. But
I don't know. Part of that culture of full faces, I think because of all my years in the industry, I am used to it. You get conditioned to it, and you begin to think that's what looks good. And some,
I know
to different degrees. a good
Yeah,
job, a bad job, an in-between job. So it's
yeah. They
we
call
have become warped.
I know they call it the filler blindness now. And all these, and they call it an Instagram face and an iPhone face of all these actresses who have these big lips and the high cheekbones and the fake everything else. And it just everything looks the same. And I'm like, it's so true. We've forgotten about, the natural beauty. And I think Emily Blunt is an example of that. And when I saw some of the latest photos from Venice Film Festival, I was like, oh, don't
We
do
have
that.
to
You don't
all
need that.
we have to all make sure that we get cremated when our time comes, because if we get buried in 100 years, when they dig up our graves, that they'll see all the silicone and the chemicals. There won't just be a skeleton there. There will be all
Yeah,
these other things on top of the skeleton.
Sorry, I just had to jump in here to send a big thank you to the sponsor of this video, OneSkin. As I've told you before, I'm super picky with what I put on my skin, but I've been using OneSkin for about 6 months now, and I'm really impressed. One thing I loved about it is that I actually noticed that it started working instantly. I had little peelings on my chin, and new and fresh, younger looking skin was appearing so fast, and I noticed that my skin felt smoother, fresher, and healthier. OneSkin is not your average skincare brand. Their products are powered by a patented peptide called OS1, which is scientifically proven to target the root cases of aging, like wrinkles, sagging skin, and even age-related hair loss. And this isn't just marketing fluff. OneSkin was founded by a team of PhDs, and their research have been published in peer-reviewed journals. So if you want your skin not only to look better, but to stay healthier for longer, this is it. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular level of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. For a limited time, you can try OneSkin with 15% off using the code FLAW, F-L-A-A, at oneskin.co. That's 15% off OneSkin with code FLAW. My last name. After the purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please say that I sent you to support my channel. Give your skin the scientifically proven gentle care that it deserves with OneSkin. So back to being canceled and everything. We were talking about, or you mentioned to me these other people who were canceled and it looked really bad for them. Someone like Hugh Grant, for example, but he managed to get back in to the business again. And now I feel like people have kind of forgotten about that. What happened? Why do you think some people...
And that has to do a lot with luck. That has to... There's crisis management. Army Hammer, I mean, Jesus Christ, could there be any more of a career crisis than being accused of cannibalism desires? I mean, there is like this arguably incredibly talented, handsome guy, leading man, Hollywood's next leading man. How he's trying to recover from that. A Reese Witherspoon, America's darling. She's a billionaire. Everybody loves Reese Witherspoon, but there was that whole arrest incident. Do you know my name?
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, she recovered from that. I remember, gosh, it was probably about 10 years ago, Hilary Swank, and she wasn't, even though she'd won her Oscars, she appeared at some controversial dinner. She was a celebrity guest at some, I don't know. He was a despot. He was a bad dude. But she was brought to be a celebrity at his birthday dinner or some kind of banquet, and she got in a lot of trouble for that. She wisely hired a specific publicist for crisis management to make the statement, to acknowledge the mistake, and then to make up for it by actually doing not community service, but charitable efforts to counteract that. So ultimately her career was not affected. And a lot of these stars need to realize how to make up for things. Hugh Grant is a terrific example. Yeah, that was actually when he got arrested for being found in the car right around the corner from where I was living in Hollywood at the time, with Divine Brown was her name.
Yeah.
But it was brilliant because he went on The Tonight Show and copped to it. He proved he was human. He he got the mug shot. He paid the price, and then he acknowledged it and moved on.
Let me start with question number one. What the hell were you thinking?
I think you know in life pretty much what's a good thing to do and what's a bad thing, and I did a bad thing, and there you have it.
I think if you own the mistake, I remember that so clearly when he was asked, "What were you thinking?" Yeah. And he was like, "I don't know, I wasn't thinking." But the thing is, he has this charm about him. So you just kind of have to forgive Hugh Grant, I think, no matter what he does, because also he's kind of humble and he has this way of, he's so self-deprecating that I don't know. There's something about him that Armie Hammer doesn't have because he's very self-important. I think. What do you think? Do you think Armie Hammer?
Have you interviewed Armie?
Yeah, I have. I mean, he was nice, but it was kind of an awkward. I don't know. He's got this energy about him that I felt it was a little awkward. I don't know. What do you think?
I was nervous to interview him because I thought he was so handsome that I thought I would be tongue-tied. I thought my impression before meeting him was that he was so beautiful, I would be intimidated somehow. And, I mean, he's a generically nice-looking man, but he was not so breathtaking that that was what I was struck by. It was like, oh yeah, you're fine. You're fine. There are the other stars like we've talked about
Viggo Mortensen,
like a Viggo Mortensen. I just can't. I have to refuse all future interviews with Viggo because there's no point. I'll just sit there and go, no. And Hugh Jackman's another one. Hugh Jackman is
but go back to you have to tell me first. Do you think Armie Hammer is going to come back?
Well, he's sort of trying to come back. I mean, there was a documentary, something he did with his mother.
He was on a podcast. Yeah.
He's got his social media going again. I mean, I'm sure.
But do you think he's going to be back in Hollywood though?
Yeah, he just needs to find the right role. And that's kind of what's nice about being an actor is you never get too old to be an actor. You look at in the glory days of movies, you look at stars like Joan Crawford and Bette Davis. They were able to keep working well into their 60s, 70s, and beyond just because of the camp value of stardom. If you're willing to sort of become a camp caricature of your former self, an actor can always keep working. You're never too old to play old. So keep getting old, and if you're willing to play those parts.
So he has another 50 years to come back.
Yeah, Armie Hammer could come back. It could, but it might not be an Oscar-winning, acclaimed performance. Maybe it will be, but you have to. If you really want to work that badly, you have to be willing to take a pie in the face.
Yeah. I feel like same thing with Will Smith. Is he back? I don't think he's back either.
I don't think he's back, but a lot of times, you know what? I just got a great idea. You're welcome, Will Smith, for this $1 million idea I just had. But for him, somebody like Will Smith, who's undeniably a terrific actor, go away for a while, let us forget about things, let the dust settle, and come back playing something like Bill Cosby. He could play Bill Cosby in a Bill Cosby biopic. And if he does a fantastic job, if the writing's there, the acting's there, the director's there, like the directing's there, that's the kind of thing that can save or resuscitate a career.
But will people hire him? I think for Hollywood, it's so risky to hire people that are so controversial that they think, okay, could people potentially just boycott this because they don't want to see Will Smith back? Or, there's so many risk factors here that it's not only if they want to play a role, but, are they going to get opportunities?
Let's ask your viewers in the comments, please. Tell us, what do you think is the right role for Will Smith, or should he just retire altogether? I don't think anybody should retire. I mean, if you want to work and are able to work, I think you should be allowed to work. It just doesn't mean you're a star. Maybe you do smaller things. I use Hugh Jackman as a great example. There is no one that doesn't, as a performer, love Hugh Jackman. Super talented, super great, this, that, and the other thing. The breakup of his marriage was the first thing in all the decades of Hugh Jackman that has even remotely tainted his reputation for being stupendous. That said, he hasn't slowed down. Thank God for Wolverine, because Wolverine enables him to deliver box office. He would love to have an Oscar for his acting, but if you notice, other than Les Mis, and then the sort of the Marvel franchise, he never gets critical acclaim for his film work. As an actor, like, it would be nice for him to have a great acting role. That's never really manifested. So didn't slow him down. He went to Broadway. He's been having this tremendously successful residency with his musical theater work. So you just have to be willing to reinvent yourself. And Hugh may never win an Oscar for acting, but he's a superstar and he can do whatever he wants.
Did you, by the way, I was talking about it on my show. Did you watch that Italian journalist who interviewed Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield and Aya Ebediri in Venice Film Festival?
No, remind me.
What we lost during the politically correct era and what we have to expect in Hollywood after the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matters are done. The two of you, Andrew and Julia.
Well, okay.
Can you repeat that? And I can, with your sunglasses on, I can't tell which of us you're talking to.
Oh, this is so
I think
cringe.
I saw a moment from it. There's nothing more awkward than a celebrity and a journalist getting into it. It's certainly awkward for the journalist, but if those actually make it to air, it's incredibly. No one knows better than you. You have a whole reputation built on an awkward moment, and those can be certainly cringeworthy, but they're defining. And I find what's interesting now is we watch the President of the United States and his press secretary tangling with journalists. Now we see it on almost a daily basis, so much so that I think this kind of confrontation could be the new normal. And you have the political divide of celebrities, which I think is so interesting. On the conservative side, you've got Mark Wahlberg and Chris Pratt, who are unabashedly sharing their Christian beliefs with the audiences. And on the other side, you maybe have Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres, who are leaving the country to live in Europe and speaking out. You've got George Clooney, who vacillates. Like, you can never quite tell if George Clooney is just endorsing a candidate or wants to be a candidate himself. And I think this is going to be, if I could have a crystal ball into show business, I think we're going to start seeing even more of that, with celebrities sort of weighing in strongly with their political beliefs.
But that is so scary for them, though. Did you see everything with Gal Gadot and Gerard Butler that were disinvited to Venice because of their political beliefs? I think it's so risky sometimes to have opinions, and
maybe it depends on where in your career you are.
Yeah, exactly. You have to make up your mind. Then, do I want to continue acting? If I want to continue acting, then it's a very slippery slope. If you feel like, like a George Clooney now, maybe he's like, okay, I want to do something else with my life. He's got a wife who's doing really important stuff, and he might be thinking that, but then it's probably a good idea to step away from acting. And I think if you have opinions that don't really match with the rest of Hollywood, then you should probably not say anything. I mean, the Sydney Sweeney thing that happened recently when she got so much backlash for that Jean commercial.
And now she'll never stop working. She's got ad campaigns right and left.
But she received so much backlash, and everyone's like, look, she's a Republican. Go get her, So for her, that was kind of like, I don't know. Is she just going to sell more jeans, or is it going to be good for her career? I don't know. What do you think?
I think she will. I think she has to make a decision. Do I want to be a celebrity and make a lot of money? Or do I want to be an actress? Do I want to win an Oscar for my acting ability? Or do I enjoy just being a star and making a lot of money and having a lot of notoriety? She can be a darling to the right at the moment, or she can parlay it, save her money, and then come back and try and do some serious acting role. It's totally up to her. I think this is a time and an opportunity for people, if they're going to speak out about their beliefs, they have to put their money where their mouth is. So you've got, like I referenced Chris Pratt and Mark Wahlberg with they're holding true to their beliefs about Christianity, and they're unapologetic about that. So, but they can afford to be. They're at a strata of their own stardom where they can afford to be that way. Same with, on the other side, Rosie and Ellen. They can afford to go away and complain from the other side of the ocean. That's fair enough. You look at somebody like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was I'm old enough to remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the biggest action star in the world, who managed somehow to become the Republican governor of California. That is nuts. When you think about it, when you look back on it, it's crazy. And now that he's no longer the governor, he's back to being a movie star again. And he was able to dip in and dip out. That's another interesting question to pose to your viewers. What celebrities, besides George Clooney, we're used to him, what celebrities could be potential future leaders would you trust to lead us? Schwarzenegger was a very effective, I was a resident of California while Schwarzenegger was in office. He was a very effective leader. It won't be Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds will not be president.
No, I hope not. Oh, but maybe Blake Lively will.
She could be. She could be.
Yeah.
No, please, no. Then I'm going to have to go find Rosie and Ellen and move.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask your opinion about something else that happened not too long ago. Did you see that whole stunt with Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson being a couple? What was your first thought? Let me hear your first thought on that romance.
Nobody likes to be punked. Nobody. And the funny thing is, God, okay. So good for them. I mean, it got publicity. It did what they set out to do. It got great publicity for their Naked Gun movie, right? So what leaves me a little unsettled was they manipulated our sympathy and empathy for publicity. We loved seeing Pamela Anderson take off her makeup and embrace her age and being beautiful, and she's a survivor. I mean, God, what that woman has been through. So we were so happy for her to finally have a good, stable relationship, so we thought. As for Liam, this poor guy, he's this sexy action star, great Oscar-winning actor, tragically was a widower. He has found love again. He has that this odd couple in their golden years have found each other. There was something very satisfying, and we felt good about it. And then it turns out we were tricked. And
but did you believe it, though? Did you believe it, Nelson?
I did believe it. I did believe it, because at the end of the day, I can tell you that Liam Neeson, for as charming as he is, he and his late wife were not living together when she passed away, because I know my best friend lived in their building and I knew exactly what was going on. They may have loved each other, but they were separated. So I had a little... and I would see Liam around the neighborhood. That's before he quit drinking. I would see him, out and about and having
Before he
fun.
quit drinking.
Yeah, this was before he quit drinking. So I did buy it. I felt like, wow, at this stage of his life, he's grown up. He's found a stable relationship. So yeah, I fell for it, and that was the plan. They executed. Whoever came up with that scheme. I hope they got a Christmas bonus.
Yeah, because then what I felt was so shady about this whole thing. So then TMC broke this story. It was all a PR stunt. They hadn't even been in contact for a year. But then the next day, a source went to People magazine and said, "Oh, it wasn't a stunt. They have a real connection." They were using all these words except confirming that they actually had a romantic relationship. So it was like trying to pretend it wasn't a lie. But then, everyone was like, well, you just first said it was true and then it's not true. And now you're saying, well, it's kind of true because they're actually friends, without saying that it was romantic. And then Pamela Anderson came out and said, like, I don't want people to talk about my love life. And, she was like,
too late.
Yes, and we know they planted this exactly how, remember Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, how they pretended that they were having an affair during, what's the name of the movie?
Star is Born.
Yes, it was everywhere and everyone's like, oh, they're together. We have to watch this movie. Did you watch The Naked Gun because of that?
No, I didn't.
No.
That's the nice thing about being off the junket circuit. I don't have to see any movies I don't want to. I basically just binge watch series now, but I just, I don't know. Good for them. Nobody on the planet has seen more bad movies than you and I.
No, that's
we have been forced. We have been. Oh, you've got such a great job. You get to see movies for a living. I'm like, do you know how many bad movies we have to see for a living?
Torturous. And then you sit there through 3 hours of movies, and then there's a Q&A afterwards that lasts for about 40 minutes with everyone being asked these like annoying questions that are just like kiss-ass questions from some kiss-ass reporter that they put there, and you don't learn anything, and you're just sitting there like, I hope there's some food after this.
Well, you know what? If one good thing came out of the pandemic, it was Zoom junkets, because it saved us a lot of time and grief and commuting to get to a screening and out of the screening. And then, it's not the same to interview someone. It definitely is not as magical when you're interviewing someone via Zoom as opposed to in person. But after having done, I don't know, 5,000 in-person celebrity interviews over the years, I'll take the Zoom. I can just sit in my pajamas and have a candy bar while I'm waiting for you to, get your hair and makeup done.
And then if something really awkward happens, you can just like hang up. You don't have to sit there in the awkward, like and marinate in the awkwardness and be like, okay, we have 1 more minute. I have nothing to ask you because you've been so like
that
rude
was
to me
when
or
I
whatever.
knew. That's when I knew I was finished with Vin Diesel, because I've got on the record about this before. The first time I interviewed Vin Diesel, he kept us waiting like overnight. Like it didn't even happen the second time. It was like 7 hours. The third time, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 hours. The last time I in-person interviewed him, it was 2 hours, like just to keep us waiting and to be unapologetic about it. And then just to show up as if nothing has happened. Our time is worth something too. But if we don't get the interview, I mean, in some of our cases, if we don't get the interview, we don't get paid. So we have to sit there. Sometimes it's 20 minutes. Sometimes if it's Vin Diesel, it could be 2 days. But I remember I had a Vin Diesel Zoom interview, and I thought, well, at least I won't be kept waiting for 7 hours or something. And I dialed into the Zoom, and it was 2 hours. Like, I was able to get up and go around and, do things around the house, but I had to keep my ear on the Zoom call, because it's still, even on Zoom, it took him 2 hours to show up.
Oh, I had exactly the same experiences with him. 7 hours, 5 hours. It's always around that. And you're just sitting there. And I remember once it was like, oh, he's just taking all the rides. We was at Universal Studios, and he took his kids to all the rides at Universal before he came to the interview. And we were like, oh, yeah, that's fine. I don't have any plans today or tomorrow, so I can just sit here and wait for Vin Diesel to be done.
I'll tell you a secret. So one time, it was the last in person where he kept us waiting 2 hours, and I was second in line for the interview. And some of us have live shots we had to get to. Like we don't have all day to get around. We have other appointments to go to. So I was second in line, and I'm really, watching the clock. And the person who was first in line, whose name I shall not mention, but you and I both know her. She's a very well-known Hungarian journalist. And when Vin came in, she confronted him and she went off on him about being late.
Of course she did.
He, without missing a beat, turned it around on her by saying, my kid was, like, he was blaming it on one of his kids. His kid was sick or something. So he totally deflected by making her seem like the bad guy, because how dare she call him out for being late if he had a sick kid. And I was just so glad I was second. But, I'm sorry. May she
Were
rest
you
in
glad
peace.
that you were after her after that happened?
Oh,
That's
yeah, because I came in like, hello, I'm so sweet. Everybody loves me.
I remember when I was like after someone who was like, this was actually Antonio Banderas we were going to interview, and he's such a lovely guy,
Lovely.
And then this journalist who was like a news reporter from Germany, she was like, I'm going to ask him why he makes such a terrible movie. It's awful. And I was like, oh, I remember sitting there. I'm like, I was supposed to go after her. And I'm like, he's going to be in such bad mood when I enter that room. So I found someone else to put like a buffer before me, so I didn't have to go in after her. And anyways, and Antonio Banderas, isn't he the sweetest?
Was he nice to you after all that?
He was super nice.
Okay.
Very, very nice.
I would
the only
see
time
him at the gym. I would see him at the Four Seasons gym in Beverly Hills. And I would see a lot of stars there. I mean, you work out harder when Chris Hemsworth is doing weights right next to you. You're like, oh, I think I can go another 10 minutes. If Chris Hemsworth can do that, I can do 10 more minutes on the treadmill. But there's Antonio Banderas, 6 a.m. in the gym, stretching. Like he wasn't working out. He was like
he
doing
does yoga
poses.
Yes, he told me that actually in that interview that he loves yoga.
The question is not taller. The real question is, how do you deal with this physicality at your 54? That's what you want to say, right? Well, try just to run in the morning and do yoga and do things like that to keep myself in good shape.
He's a man of a certain age. I mean, I'm willing to bet he's around my age. I find that I get stiffer, it takes me a little longer to warm up and cool down. But he can twist himself up like a pretzel. I've never seen anything like it. And he's much thinner than I ever realized. He's very lean. Was quite impressive.
I feel a lot of male actors and females, for that matter, are so much smaller and leaner in real life. I sometimes meet celebrities.
Brad Pitt is this big.
Yes,
Brad Pitt is this big.
Is the tiny. His butt is like this,
I
and
have to
his
show
waist.
you something. Hold on. This was my first book. Let's dish up a dinner party, and you see that silver suit that I'm wearing?
Yes.
I borrowed it from a place in Burbank called It's a Wrap, and It's a Wrap. I think it's still there. It's a Wrap has movie star and film wardrobe, clothing, things like that. And I knew I was doing the shoot for this book cover, and I wanted it to look very Hollywood. This was 25 years ago. So this was Brad Pitt's suit. I think I must have confessed this before. I'm 5'7".
I've never heard this.
I'm 5'7". I'm not tall. I wore his suit. I got the suit. I couldn't get the waist buttoned because his waist is so small. I think at the time I was a 30-inch waist. And so he was at least a 28-inch waist. But I did not have to shorten the pants. I don't know how tall Brad Pitt says he is, but I'm 5'7", and those pants fit me lengthwise.
He's definitely shorter than me. I've met him.
Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I don't know how tall. We talked about Jason. What's his name?
Jason Statham. Yeah.
Little.
Tiny.
Who's the Guy Pearce? I don't know how tall Guy Pearce is. My mom says it's all the same lying down anyway. But Guy Pearce, he is thin. And I love Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce in the Mildred Pierce miniseries, like that's my dream of what I want to look like. Guy Pearce, I think, is terrific. And the best compliment I ever got from a celebrity, twice, Morgan Freeman I sat down with Morgan Freeman and he told me, "You look like that Australian actor, Guy Pearce." And I was like, I will take that. I would need to lose 50 pounds to be as thin as Guy Pearce.
I don't think I've met him actually. But it's funny you said Brad Pitt because he was the first time I met him. That was the first thing I was thinking. Like, wow, he's so thin.
Another good work, Brad Pitt. Keep doing what you're doing.
He looks really good.
He looks amazing.
He's doing the right thing. Tom Cruise, on the other hand,
even your dog react to that.
Oscar.
That's funny. Even your dog is bothered by Tom Cruise.
Yeah. He's like, what? No, I don't think I like that guy. Yeah. I mean, I like Tom Cruise when I met him, but everything else about him is a little shady. So, yeah.
Brad Pitt started out as my friend's pool boy before he became a star. My friend was a soap opera writer and lived in Palm Springs, California, and Brad Pitt was his pool boy. And he just thought Brad said, all I want to do is have kids and sit on the front porch, not the back porch. All I want to do is sit on the front porch and watch my kids play. That was Brad Pitt's career goal. He wanted to be an actor who would have a bunch of kids and he'd sit on the front porch of his house and watch them play. As a young man, that was his dream while he was cleaning the pool. And he wrote poetry and he was very esoteric. Not esoteric, the opposite of esoteric. He was very artistic and very deep. And my friend created a role for him on the soap opera Another World. And Brad played on Another World for a couple of days and I was working there at the time, and the producers did not like him. They thought he wasn't talented enough. They thought he had bad skin. They didn't think he was sexy. And so they didn't let him pursue that. And I think then, the next thing he got was Dallas. Wasn't he on Dallas? And from Dallas, Thelma and Louise, and the rest is history.
Wow. They were wrong.
Yeah. I wonder if he skims his own pool. Something tells me he does not.
Not anymore. He might sit on the porch. I hope we get to see his kids a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about your projects, because you always have something to share with us, because you're doing all these amazing things. And we really need people to come and support you and to watch your stuff. So let us know, what are you up to now, Nelson?
This has been the year of Titanic, because my latest novel, Kindred Spirits, A Titanic Tale. It's a historical fantasy based on the life of one particular passenger who perished aboard the Titanic. I have a podcast called Titanic Talk, and that's what has accelerated my interest in all things Titanic. And I have been traveling the world this year, from Belfast, Northern Ireland, where the Titanic was built, to London, to California, New York, Boston, Baltimore, to promote the book and tell Titanic stories, which has been very rewarding. We're kind of in the early stages of possibly film development for the story, which is very exciting. And what's notable is it's the first gay Titanic story. I always tell people, like, you know what? There were gay people on the Titanic. I know you didn't see it in Jim Cameron's movie, but, there've always been gay people, including on the Titanic. And I'm telling this story. And that's a nice hook, but it's also, I think it's a cool story. And I've been commissioned to go on a transatlantic voyage on the Queen Mary 2 on the exact route of Titanic from Southampton, England, to New York. And I will be speaking about Titanic over the site of the wreck, which is going to be a thrill for me. Then next year, we're in the planning stages now. Anybody who wants to come along can come along.
Woo! Did you hear that, guys?
I am leading, we'll put all the links up. I'm leading a 2-week tour to Ireland, starting in Dublin and ending up in Belfast at the Titanic Museum in Belfast. And it's not a tour all about the Titanic. It will be when we get to Belfast, because that's the history of Belfast. But it's a 2-week experience where I can give you all this kind of showbiz dirt in person. And we go on this amazing tour of all these notable places in Ireland. And on the website, it has a breakdown of what the itinerary will be. They take care of the airfare, the hotels, the meals. It's all done for you. So we just get to go and have this amazing Irish adventure. And this will be my 4th trip to Ireland. And I got to tell you, I don't have a drop of Irish blood in me, but Ireland is an amazing place to go.
That's so cool. What month is this going to be?
That's October of 2026.
Okay,
so plenty of time
here to
get it planned. But we're signing up people now because we gotta get it. Yeah, it's a long way away, but it's a big trip, so people have to plan. I'm really excited about that and doing Kindred Spirits, Titanic Tale. I'm going to be heading to Hong Kong and Sydney, Australia in December to promote that. All the details are on my website, and I always update my Instagram with where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be doing. So all my Australian friends, I hope you'll come out and support us. I'll be doing an event in Sydney with Melissa Doyle. Any Australians who know me also know Melissa Doyle, and that'll be great. And off it's like 2026. We'll be here before we know it. I'll be releasing 2 books next year, including my first children's book, which is kind of cool. Because my books are not for children.
No.
So it'll be I'm cleaning up my act for that one.
This is so amazing. So I'm going to leave all the links to this stuff in the description so you can go through everything. And also your books, of course, that we talked about before.
Dancing Between the Raindrops. The 3rd part of that trilogy is coming out in February of next year. So busy, busy, busy. I never would have thought after 30 years of doing morning TV, I thought, oh, what am I going to do? Oh my God, I've never been busier. And it's so rewarding. What I'm doing is, it's amazing. I get to write every day.
So well deserved. All your success, Nelson. You're my favorite person in the junket circuit. And it's so nice to have you here. And you always deliver the tea. And I love it so much.
Get your sweet behind to New York as soon as possible. I owe you a big, beautiful dinner.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, we awesome talk.